Okay, guys, what's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to one of a few videos I'll be releasing today, all in succession of each other. Is that the right word? Concession? Succession? I don't know. But people saying that, we had tons of photos being sent to us last night from the wrestling show. So many different photos being sent from different areas of the arena showing the far right 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe in 5 sections, which probably fits a couple thousand people, being completely tarped off. Now, this is a fact that this has been happening every SmackDown. WWE has coordinated their sales in a way that holds those tickets until the very end, and it isn't until there's a high demand that they release one of the sections. That way they don't have missing patches throughout the arena or missing patches on the TV side of things. They want to make sure everybody gets on camera so that on television it looks like a sold-out crowd and they have a TV audience. Therefore, they cut off those areas on the other side, on the hard cam side, which means on the side where the cameras are, that generally you really don't see unless one of the roaming cameras on the floor was able to zoom up and catch it. But they obviously do a good job of not really showing those areas. They only show the front row because the front row, five rows back on the hard cam side, are sold. So it appears that there's fans on the other side as well. It's a deception on TV. I have been to 5 SmackDowns this year, and obviously I can tell you from being in all those SmackDowns that the same situation took place at almost every SmackDown event I went to. Now, I didn't really see it as much at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut because that is a small arena. So they were, and plus Connecticut, home turf of the WWE, they were able to sell almost all of that out. However, you did notice that the middle section and up was not sold as well and was tarped off on the corner right. So even Mohegan Sun had some issues. But we've seen this really badly on every SmackDown I've been to. I've documented it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because many people are writing, oh, it's fake news, and oh, it's fake, it's a fake thing, and oh, it took place before the show started. But no, many of the photos that we got were when Jinder Mahal was in the ring, when Kevin Owens was in the ring. So the pictures are legitimate. Now, there are a few pictures out there that did take place before the event started, and you can tell which ones those are because there's nobody in the ring, but also the red seats after the black tarping. There's 1 black tarp, 2 black tarps, 3 black box, 4, and then nobody up on the balcony. So there's your couple thousand people missing right there. But when you get to the red seats, there's a picture that shows the full side of the red seats, obviously in Glendale, Arizona, red. They're empty. But during the show, really, that was half filled in. So there was a half smattering of people in that section. So the accurate news is that those seats were halfway filled. The false news or the misrepresentative photo was before the show started, showing those all in red. But no, they had been halfway sold. Maybe 60% of those were sold. But the fact of the matter is, about 2,700 to maybe 3,000 people less. They could have sold another 3,000 tickets, is my point. SmackDown Live could have sold another 3,000 tickets. And that is a major issue, and I know that some people also still say that, oh, this has been going on for years. I had somebody tell me, like, well, this has been going on for years. Or someone tell me that, this is that time of year where this happens. But that's false as well. I'm basically going to prove you all wrong. I'm not trying to hope that the WWE fails, or I'm not trying to push some doomsday agenda. I don't want to do that. Why would I want to do that? I want WWE to flourish. If anything, for a while I've been suppressing this because I myself have wanted to think that things weren't this bad. And when I went to the shows at SmackDown, I didn't want to report, hey, I'm here at SmackDown. Thanks, WWE. Wow, no one's here for you. I didn't want to be a dick. But let's just call it like it is right at this point. I was at SmackDown in spring. This was a problem. And we're on the Northeast over here. I was at SmackDown in summer. This was a problem. I was at SmackDown multiple times this year. It was a problem at just about every single show I was at. I think the last time I didn't see a section tarped off like this was Boston. I will say that I believe, if I'm correct, I'd have to go look at my photos, but I believe that TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, I believe we did not have that issue there. There may have been the back left section that was tarped off, and that the one like almost behind the Titantron, that area might have been tarped off. And I'm not talking about the one area that they always tarp off. I'm talking about one little section like towards the rampway might have been tarped off, and that's it. But Boston did fairly well. What I did notice about Boston was that the house shows were unbelievably low attended. It was the bottom bowl only. And I would say that they had sold 40% of the TD Garden, of the Boston Garden for a house show. And I said to myself, and I said to you guys at the time, I have never seen it like that ever in my life. In my life. I have been to WWE at the Boston Garden, in the original Boston Garden, going back to 5 years old. I've probably been to a total of, in my entire life, I've probably been to 20 house shows in my entire life. That was the first time I ever saw a show that undersold. And I wanted to say it to my son, but he didn't care, you know, so I didn't tell him really. But I wanted to tell someone badly when I was there. I just thought, man, this is not ever what I saw. You know, I saw a main event of Owen Hart versus Bret Hart. I mean, that place was almost sold out. I saw KANE and Mankind versus Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin in '98. That place was sold out. And, you know, you can say, well, Joe, look at the names you just named off. And it's like, yeah, exactly. Look at the names I named off. Look at what they have now. They think Roman Reigns is the savior. They got Cena raising his hand. There's a photo that got released the other day with Cena raising his hand, The Rock raising his hand, Daniel Bryan raising his hand, The Undertaker in the picture representing the fact that he gave up his streak for him. You could even put Vince McMahon in that photo getting kicked in the balls that time, or Triple H fighting with him while he was bleeding all over his face, being the most bloodied I'd seen anyone on Raw in a long time. You can't give this guy enough crutches, and it still doesn't work. It doesn't work. You give him crutches, it doesn't work. Now we're in the situation where nobody can save us. The indies, nothing is working. Everybody's right. The casuals are right. The smarks are right. Everybody is right. Okay? You know, AJ Styles isn't selling enough tickets. Roman Reigns is not selling enough tickets. Kevin Owens is not selling enough tickets. But when it comes down to it, I don't personally actually blame Roman Reigns, AJ Styles. Well, I kind of do blame Reigns a little more, and here's why. Because his acting is so piss poor, okay? But as far as Roman and AJ and everybody else goes, the one common denominator, what's the one common denominator? When AJ Styles can sell out crowds, when Roman Reigns was decent on NXT, when all these factors add up to one thing, the WWE itself. The creative process behind the scenes, whether that's Vince McMahon or whoever else, is fucking bizarre. And I just swore, so there goes my monetary value in this video, and I won't make any money on this video. So if you guys want to support me with a couple bucks, go to patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show and become a patron for $1 a month. $2 a month, whatever you want to do, whatever you can do. Don't do anything that will hurt you at all. I don't want to take money off anybody, but I will give you bonus content of 8 hours a week. There's a plug for myself. So if you guys want to help me and you care, go there. But going back to this point, somebody is out of their mind back there, and it ain't these superstars. It's really not these superstars. It's the environment they're in. You know, I listen to Sasha Banks and Sam Roberts' interview, and Sam Roberts is all right. Sometimes I crap on him, and other times I think I'm just jealous probably that he's got a Sirius XM satellite deal, and I know that if I was on Sirius XM, I would double whatever his numbers are, if not triple his numbers, and that's not a knock on him because I think he's really good, but the bottom line is if you put Joe Cronin on Sirius Satellite XM, you want to make some money, Sirius XM? Just give me a call if you want to make money. I guarantee you on my kids' life, my family's lives, that I will triple whatever Sam Roberts is doing over there. But nobody's over here looking for Joe, I guess. I guess that's how the deal is. That's what's going on. That's fine. Even terrestrial radio. You want to give me a call? I'll make your ratings go up. And that's a fact, and I'll bet my life on it. I'll cut my penis off if you don't get extra ratings. But here's the thing. Sam Roberts interviewed Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks basically was like, yeah, you know, I don't really know. You know, she gave these unbelievable comments, and I might even play some of them coming up soon. Not in this video, but maybe a separate video. And she's just like, yeah, I really didn't know where things were going there. I had no idea what I was doing. I'd show up to TV, and all of a sudden I'm wrestling nobody in a tag match for nothing, and then this is going on, and I have no direction. And yeah, she basically gave answers like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they did that. I agree that that was crazy. They keep doing that, though. I was told to go home because they had nothing for me. I didn't have a back injury, really. They just wanted me to stay home until they had something for me. And then they had something for me, and then it didn't happen, and then I thought it was going to happen, then it didn't, then I got there, they give you that. They show up to TV, and they find out what's going on in the last second. And a lot of times, to Sasha Banks, it makes no sense. You know what this commentary reminded me of? Dude, we should all be talking about this. I can't believe. And you know what? They did this in front of a crowd of people on Sam Roberts' show. You know what this reminded me of? By what Sasha Banks was telling us all about how, she had no idea what was going on the day of TV and why they were doing certain angles and things like that. It reminded me of WCW. That's what it reminded me of. Every single wrestler that came out of WCW in the 2000s, 2001s, whatever year it went out of business, and even in 99, And look at Bobby Heenan's testimonial. They had no idea what they were doing, he said. It was a mess backstage. And I'm not saying that they're on that level because WWE is a more well-oiled machine, but it is absolutely complacent, it seems like. They know what they're doing. Professionally, they're not going to be stuck where they don't have a plan when the show goes on the air. That's the difference with WCW, I think. But then again, think about it. When WCW ever did anything, for the most part, it came off the same way as WWE. There was almost never an issue where somebody forgot a line or didn't understand where to be. I mean, yeah, that stuff happens sometimes on both shows. But it just always came across as flat and made no sense, and that's what we're getting right now. It makes zero sense of what's going on. And the wrestlers are suffering for it. Everybody's character is suffering. It appears to me that every single time somebody does something right, it is undermined. It is simply undermined. And listen, I'm speaking to all the fans out there. Anybody that's a Roman Reigns fan, a Sasha Banks fan, an AJ Styles fan, a John Cena fan, a Kevin Owens fan. I think Cena might be the only one that's not undermined for the most part. And even he's a little bit undermined. And here's why. John Cena has probably the most freedom out of any other wrestler because they trust him, they believe in him, they know he can do it. So he has just incredible freedom, which is what a lot of the other wrestlers need, I think. But Cena is undermined by the fact that he is doing his best to put people over. And it started back with Daniel Bryan. He put Daniel Bryan over. So John Cena, and hear me out on this. I know that this is contrary to what we normally say, where we say Cena is burying people or whatever. Cena has put people over the last 3 years. Cena has compromised himself. He's lost to Bryan. He's lost to Reigns now. He's lost to Owens. He's lost to AJ Styles. He's lost to a lot of people. Cena has compromised and undermined his own character, his own hype machine or whatever. Younger kids that still love Cena had to watch him lose quite a bit. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think what he did was absolutely right. But in doing that, it lessened his brand, which is okay because you expected Daniel Bryan to take the torch. But Daniel Bryan was held back. And then Daniel Bryan is now not able to wrestle. AJ Styles and Owens, they did benefit from it. And that is good. And I don't really know if Roman Reigns is benefiting from it that much. As much, maybe a little bit in some of the younger kids' eyes and some of the women's eyes. But for the most part, Cena hurt his own brand and brought himself down from maybe a level of 9 out of 10 to a level of 8 or 7.5. This guy's, trail of fire was doused with some water here, which is not a bad thing, but it is kind of because nobody else is rising up to take that spot. And wrestlers are sabotaged left and right. Terrible business decisions. Why in the world would Enzo and Cass be split up? We said it before it happened. It's not we're saying it now because things aren't going well. These guys were split up for no real reason to me. When they were making some money, the fans were fairly happy. they could be an act for another 2 years or another year at least. But they split them up because they panicked. So they split them up to do something. Cass is now injured. Enzo was a failure. We may see Enzo pay off a little bit now because of his situation on 205 Live with the belt and being on the WWE Network. Let's be honest here. It was a failure. It was a colossal failure. However, right now, even though Enzo, you know, here's the problem with 205 Live. The problem with 205 Live is right now Enzo is doing well now. I would say right now, all of a sudden, Enzo's decision to be on 205 Live and with the belt is a good one now. But it's in spite of what they should have done. It's doing well now in spite of itself because 205 Live should have already been popular. Because they should have sold the athleticism and the matches and the storylines. But they never even tried. They barely tried. They taped the ropes purple. They gave the guys 4 minutes a Raw. On a 3-hour show, these guys were given 4 minutes. And you can't say that, oh, they didn't do well, so they cut their time. That's not what happened. It started with cut time. They never started fairly. They started with a sniff of what the cruiserweights are. So no one took them seriously, and no one ever would. But now you put Enzo on there, and there's some buzz, and you say, see, we needed Enzo to make that thing work. No, you didn't. You needed to actually make the show work and give it a chance and give it time on Raw more than what you did. You took the cheap way out. You took the fast way out by taking a guy who was popular like Enzo and just sticking him on there. And while that worked, makes sense, and will continue to work, I think, somewhat, you still took the cheap way out. You didn't write something amazing that was going to allow you to do anything. You know what I mean? You just said, well, Enzo's got a big following and whatever, but he doesn't really fit on Raw and SmackDown anymore, you know, without Cass, and nobody believes he can really beat anybody. Well, let's put him on 205 Live, and then let's have him kick Neville in the balls, and then he'll win the title. Like, that was a smart idea to get people talking and buzzed and to watch the network, and based on the numbers, it is a win. You can't deny the numbers. But my point is, while that was a good decision, you made a bad decision for the last 8 months with the cruiserweights. And you use the cheap way out. Just like when Raw's ratings start to sink, you use the cheap way out by bringing in Goldberg or having McMahon get kicked in the balls or bringing McMahon on SmackDown to get headbutted by Kevin Owens. While it's a good angle, and I understand it, it's lazy. It's the cheap way out because you can't write anything else. So this is what you come up with. This is why the ticket sales are down. This is why people have lost confidence. This is why there's so much negativity. This is why there are less kids at the events. This is why there are less anybody at the events. You have stifled everybody. Look at the women's division on Raw. Sasha Banks is 0-4 in her title defenses after winning the title. Sasha's stock sucks. Emma, she sucks. Nia Jax kept losing all her chances to be champion and still hasn't been. She's not good. The only one booked right is Alexa Bliss. And maybe when Asuka comes up, maybe she will be. But booking right with Asuka, what's Asuka going to do when she comes up? Let's say Asuka wins the title. Wouldn't you all agree that Asuka would probably hold the title for like a year or something like that? Or hold it for months, you know, a long time, have a big run? But again, that's lazy as well because you know what? Just give her the belt and let her run with it as long as possible. And that would fall right into what WWE wants. We don't got to really write that much. Because you don't got to worry about someone taking it off her and giving it up and stuff like that. Oh, we can just let her keep the belt, you know? They would love that. And then you could say, well, Asuka's been done right, and so has Alexa Bliss. But yeah, but you can still go back to all those other women. The promo with Bayley and Sasha Banks on Raw, if you guys go back and watch that, that was atrocious. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. You know, in Sasha Banks' comments about not wanting to meet fans at the airport and, you know, people should stay away. I mean, it's just all... You know what? Pretty soon you're not going to have any fans because the numbers are the viewing numbers are going down, the viewership's going down, the ticket sales are certainly going down. We know that. The pyro's gone. We know why the pyro's gone, right? It's not just because they made a bad decision about WrestleMania 34's stage. It's also because they don't have the funds, because that's what it comes back to. My former co-host, Chris Tosevich, made a smart-ass remark to me on Facebook. Oh, yes, Joe. It's all because the pyro's gone. I guess you solved it. Yeah. Keep being delusional and watch what happens. You're literally sitting here with Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the names go on. People that really should do somewhat well. If you told me Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and a couple of the other names, I would tell you I would expect, 3, 4, 5 million people to be watching that product. I wouldn't expect 3, 2 to be watching. I wouldn't expect 2.5 million people to be watching. I don't care if this Monday Night Football. It's about the same viewership right now. There should be at least 5 million people watching Raw every week if you're doing the right thing. I mean, you got to be kidding me, right? I mean, WWE is hitting a 2.8 million some weeks. I mean, you're talking about talking about Keemstar on YouTube has like 2 million subs. You're talking about guys on YouTube getting 1 million views a week for their YouTube shows. I mean, I know that it's easier to digest and share social media videos, but come on. The WWE should be doing better than this. And I know that they're doing okay in their eyes. But it's not just the viewership on television. That's the problem. We said this a while back that you would see this affect the company in every area and in every aspect eventually. Because that's what happens. There's about a year delay, it's usually about a year delay with WWE and with corporations because they book a year in advance, at least, if not 2 years. Right? This is the reason why, remember Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, that match with Tyson? That match was huge. That WrestleMania was huge. That WrestleMania should not necessarily have happened in Boston, but it happened in Boston, Massachusetts, because the previous 2 years, they were worried about ticket sales, especially the year before. Right after WrestleMania 12 and around WrestleMania 13, their ticket sales were not doing very well. That's why WrestleMania 13 was in Chicago. WrestleMania 14 was in Boston. They wanted to make sure they had those crowds. WrestleMania 14 could have happened at a giant stadium, for God's sake. Or maybe not a giant one, but it could have happened at a big stadium. They could have probably sold out a football field. Do you know that WrestleMania 14 tickets sold out in 90 seconds, I believe, here in Boston? If WWE understood what was going to happen, they would have booked a different arena and sold more tickets and made a lot more money. Even WrestleMania 15 and then WrestleMania 16, I think it wasn't until WrestleMania 17 the WWE finally went to a bigger arena. 17, 18, and then 19 and on. It's been at, if they could do it at a big arena, they did it. So, and granted, if they're in a place like Chicago for WrestleMania, they just jack the ticket prices and they try to make the money back that way because they'll know they'll sell because they'll have less seats but more interest, raise the ticket prices. But WrestleMania, and I'm so happy WrestleMania 14 was in Boston. It was the only WrestleMania in Boston. It may be the only WrestleMania in Massachusetts that ever happens, to be honest. Well, then again, at this point with ticket sales, we might be back here again someday. Actually, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm not kidding. You may see the next, the WrestleManias in the future. I don't know what they'll do with them, if this continues. But there's so much national interest in the WWE that they may be okay for a while. But yeah, that WrestleMania took place in the Boston Garden, which does not hold that many people compared to most of these other locations. In fact, it's got to be one of the smallest crowds in WrestleMania history if we look it up. I'm sure Caesar's Palace is number one, and then there's probably a couple more after that I'm not familiar with, and then Boston. We could look those numbers up and find that out later. But anyway, guys, I went off on a tangent that I didn't expect to do. I expected to just speak about the pictures of the crowd size and all that garbage. I hope you listened to this entire video, and I hope you watch my other videos. If I release a couple more today, I hope you watch those ones. If you're a patron, I hope you guys check out my bonus content on patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. And if you guys like the shows, make sure you support live with donations if you want. Or, of course, support me through Patreon monthly, and then you'll get 8 hours of bonus content a week. And that's pretty cool. $5 a month, you can get 8 hours bonus content a week on my Patreon channel. It's a big-time value, but also you guys are supporting what I do here. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this, and I will be live tonight on Twitch with Out of Nowhere. I hope you guys are there to join me for Out of Nowhere. Out of Nowhere tonight on twitch.tv/Joe Cronin JCS. Follow me there. Hit me up on Twitter with any questions at Real Joe Cronin. We're having a blast on Twitter. People are just going nuts. And Instagram.com/Joe Cronin Show. My Facebook page, Facebook.com/Rage Internet Radio, down below in the description box. Shout out to everybody. Hey, shout out to Solid Monster. What's up, Solly? How you doing, brother? Everybody hit him up for me and tell old Solly that Cronin loves his ass. I do appreciate him. I appreciate lots of people. Shout out to Steven Larson as well. And shout out to my boy Grim, coming for your ass. And not like that, though. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm coming to get you. That's what I should have said. That sounds weird. Watch these other videos. Hit that sub button if you're new. Click that like button. Let's do it up. I'll see you guys tonight for Out of Nowhere. And I'll see you Friday night for Monetize This on youtube.com/corruptedpodcast YouTube channel. And we may broadcast on Twitch as well. All right, I got all my info out. More videos to come. See you tonight.